Of course, nuclear energies or nuclear capabilities exist in many countries in the world, but nuclear weapons do not exist, except for 9 countries, but they possess a nuclear weapon in the world. Iran is trying to be the 10, trying to enter this door. But until now, there are 9 countries, 5 of the big ones, America, Russia, England, France, and China, along with the other countries, Pakistan, India, and North Korea, in addition to the Zionists, even if they declare that they do not have a sympathy. But of course, everyone knows that they have a nuclear weapon and nuclear capabilities. Big, I mean. As for the nuclear states that have weapons, Iran has been trying for a long time the nuclear project in Iran since the year 57, working the agreements of the days of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, working agreements with America to establish nuclear reactors, of course declared at that time for peaceful purposes, and they sat walking in this topic, a period of agreements, treaties, scientific and technical equipment. They also made some individual special agreements with France and Germany. They already started implementing their project in 74 and 1974. But after 5 years of work, the Khomeini revolution took place in Iran in 1979. The Western powers withdrew from the nuclear project when the Khomeini revolution took place, and therefore the project stopped, in addition to the same Iranian administration at that time, which is Khomeini, meaning he did not have the desire to complete the nuclear project. Then the issue stopped. The nuclear project reactivated in 92. Iran began to try to work on the nuclear project again, and with an agreement with Russia, and Russia supported the issue strongly, of course, in the face of America. And the project continued, meaning about 11 years until 2003, the Atomic Energy Agency carried out an inspection on Iran, and it happened if many violations exist. Iran provided misleading data on nuclear reactors, possible uranium, and therefore the Atomic Energy Agency announced the legal arrest and embargo on Iran, an economic blockade, and many things that the world participated in because of their project. However, Iran was also working in secret or hidden ways in establishing the nuclear project or completing the nuclear program. Fadel is complementary, but have they developed nuclear weapons? They work to enrich uranium purity to 20. The 120% DIT is sufficient for peaceful actions, means timing water, cancer treatment, means matters, use nuclear energies in peaceful matters. And now they say that they have developed the subject and reached a degree of 60% purity. Uranium, when enriched, and what they need to make a bomb, the point score reaches 80 and 90%, which is very close to 60% the technologies. What worked 60% is easy if it continues until I reach the 80% of the centrifuges that work when the sport is present in Iran, already in several reactors, and therefore it is possible. The idea of creating or forming a real nuclear weapon exists. The experts on this subject say that Iran is a few months or a few years away from creating a nuclear weapon, and the pessimists say that the whole story is 2 weeks away. And after the statements, they say that a week means almost a nuclear bomb, meaning it is imminent production if the political decision is made. The issue is not a question of scientific problems, technical problems, or materials that do not exist. No, everything exists, but the political decision is whether to make a bomb or not to make a bomb. This is it. The Al-Fadil is for Iran to produce a nuclear bomb or a nuclear weapon. Of course, Iran is looking at the issue because it is national security by means of one of the major means of deterrence. It has a nuclear weapon in the region, the entire region for it, enemies, all the countries around it, whether like Sunni countries or the Jews, Russia or America, all people. I mean, there is no need to come to an agreement with Iran explicitly, and therefore it is a means of deterrence for those around it, and at the same time a means of pressure. When bargaining agreements, treaties, the sale of oil, military treaties, the balance that exists, a means of pressure. If I am a nuclear state, I have a weapon. There is no doubt that Pakistan has become an object after this.
a nuclear weapon in front of India. Rather than that, only India has a nuclear weapon. There is nothing for Pakistan or vice versa. This balance is sought by Iran in the region. Okay, the Jews, can they strike Iranian nuclear reactors?
B, what am I expecting? It is, of course, possible that the Jews strike nuclear reactors. This means that there is nothing to prevent this from happening. This is an attempt, but I do not expect that the Jews seek to destroy Iran's nuclear power, nor that America would want this topic. Why? Jews wish for American endorsement. However, actions can occur independently. However, such significant decisions usually require American agreement, which is denied for the Iranian nuclear initiative due to several factors discussed after addressing the Jewish angle. I return to my main point. America doesn't support Jewish strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. The second point, in the sense, a difficult technology for the Jews. If they strike the Iranian nuclear project, why has Iran benefited from Iraq's experience? Iraq also had a large nuclear project, which they call the July reactor. If people had not retreated, history would have known about this subject. The Israeli Air Force is in a qualitative operation. This reactor was hit in one moment in 81, and the whole project came to the ground. Why am I the whole project? It was in one place. When Iran came to work on the project, it benefited from this failed Iraqi experiment. What happened? It failed. The nuclear project was printed, and I will not walk after that. So they carried out their project in many places as if it were Basel, as if it were cutting off every part of the parts. The nuclear program is in a place, the centrifuge is in a place, its enrichment is in a place, and certain reactors are in a place. Different places, mostly around Isfahan. But in places where it is needed, in other places such as Bushehr, for example, it is located on the Arabian Gulf, it is located in Iraq, in western Iran, it is located in different places in Iran, and therefore in order to hit the project, you need to hit several places that are very far from each other, and many of these places are underground at very, very huge distances, and you need powerful special bombs, because the bomb that is supposed to hit the place underground, this is supposed to penetrate without exploding. It sits hidden until it exceeds 40 meters underground, and after that it explodes in order to reach the place where the nuclear reactor is located. As for the bomb, it exploded from the outside or did not hit the ground. It does not do anything because the buildings are underground at very large distances, and of course there is also insurance for this illiteracy of these places, terrible in terms of secrecy. These places are not allowed to enter to a very, very limited number of Iranian officials. He is under heavy guard from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Therefore, not many people in Iran know the real locations of these reactors, and there are many fake reactors placed in them. As for the fact that if it is struck, the reactors will not remain, what does all this mean? It's technically difficult, so they say that the distance is also from Palestine to Iran, it is 1,000 miles long, which means we are approximately 1,600 kilometers, so that the things that are in the planes that do this will not have the ability to come up with weapons. Who is in Palestine? Until to Iran, and without refueling, and also refueling these planes at this distance, it is technically difficult. Things are difficult, and it is not that it hits it with missiles, but without flying, it will not work. A specific bomb must be dropped in a specific way in order to enter inside this plane. These underground basements or underground tunnels, special bombs, and the Jews do not have this bomb. The bomb that hits these things does not exist among the Jews, nor the planes that remove this already exists as well. They need the bomb to take it from America, and they also need the planes that remove these bombs. All of this says, no, this is what we need, necessary America's approval for such a measure to take place. They also say that if Israel is hit, the nuclear reactors will hit parts of it. The parts could still be a nuclear weapon. If you provoke Iran by striking, it could do what it does not want to do. It will have years left. It has the possibility of producing the bomb, but the bomb is stopped or the nuclear weapon is stopped. Well, if you hit me, the nuclear weapon will remain. I will say that the whole project can go, no, I will catch up. I will produce 2 or 3 weapons. I will make 34 nuclear warheads, 5 nuclear warheads. I will have a weapon, a radio, of course, if I have one nuclear weapon. Security concerns for Tel Aviv due to dense Jewish population within Palestine. The area is very, very high. The geographical area of Palestine is small, and therefore the nuclear harm to it may be fatal to a very, very large number of Jews, and therefore they do not want to risk this issue. Provocating Iran that it produces nuclear weapons and uses them at the moment of this mutation may be very dangerous. Therefore, America does not want to provoke Iran if it produces nuclear weapons in a hidden place. No one sees it underground at a moment when its nuclear weapons were attacked. They also say that Iran, if the mother strikes in specific places, it might strike Israel with high-speed missiles. They have Iranian missiles. Oh, their name is Fatah. Oh, 2 missiles are 15 times faster than the speed of sound. They say high speed. Hyperspeed is very terrible, and these missiles are not only dangerous. In terms of speed, its danger lies in its walking. She walks in a zigzag line. She does not walk like that in a zigzag line, and this makes her... I mean, no one can repel it. No, the Jewish Defense Force, not even the American, stands in front of this encroachment. Therefore, if it rains, meaning Palestine with such missiles, there may be very great uncalculated destruction, especially if they carry these missiles with biological weapons or chemical weapons. The issue will remain a very big obstacle, very much for the Zionist entity inside Palestine. An Iranian response will not be aviation. Iranian aviation is very weak. Iranian aviation is a result of the economic blockade on them. They do not have strong aviation, and all of it is in all their preparation in missiles, but they do not have aviation. Even if they are trying to make a deal with Russia, they will buy Sukhoi 35. Sukhoi 35, this is an interview with the American F-35, which is the stealth. And from the top, I mean the aviation categories, but until now, they still do not have this aviation category. We return to the point we said a little while ago. Why does America not want to strike the Iranian nuclear project? America does not want Iran to remain a country with nuclear weapons. Of course, it is dangerous to be with a country like Iran. We have become ourselves, and in the end, it is calculated on the Muslims, a dangerous force for American interests. Close to Russia, close to China, close to Palestine and the Jews, and at the same time, it is possible that they do not have the controls for America to impose on the people. It is possible that they hand their weapons to any force in the world, God knows, even if it is possible. Not for countries if this happens. The issue is dangerous. America does not want it. Iran has a large weapon, and at the same time, it does not want a weak Iran.
If it cannot do it, a force that itself is a terror in the region, why? I want it as a force of its own. Oh, I wanted a force of its own as a none, so that the Sunni forces present in the issue in the region begin and favor the many Sunni forces.
Does Iran need America? Always America needs it to help them stand in front of the big bogeyman that is Iran with him. The production of our weapons, and therefore it is a country of awe, but its claws are no longer strong because it is erased. It is America that wants to hold the stick like this from the text. This means that Iran remains preferable to exist with relatively limited power, but relatively limited power is greater than the forces that exist and can be exploited if it stops any Sunni force that smells itself and wants to remain present. As happened with Iraq and the first Gulf War. It was before the first Gulf War in the year 80 with Iran. The war lasted with Iran for years. Before Iraq intervened, the war was its army. The Iraqi army was number 4 or 5 in the world. Imagine what it was like. The strength of the Iraqi army at this time. Did Iran kill her? America. The 2 men fought some Iran and Iraq, and they drained some. Both America and Iran sustained conflict. Iran with weapons, even though America is in support for Iraq mainly, and that it was supposed to be declared that Iran is America's enemy and an enemy state, and at that time they were, until the Iranians took American hostages from the American embassy in a very huge story that was famous at the time in the 1930s and was a very huge scandal, a big powerful scandal called Iran Jet. We can continue to explain it to you in episode A of Iran Jet Date or Iran Contra. America even supplied Iran with weapons in the mid-1980s. And I took this weapon with which I supported the people in Nicaragua. I mean, it's a very, very confusing story. In the days of Reagan, the American president Reagan was against America. I don't want Iran to sign. I mean, I want Iran to prefer to exist in the same situation as it is, but without reaching to what degree nuclear weapons, and therefore we do not want to provoke it to produce a nuclear weapon that could affect the budget that America is working on. The situation in which Iran is now an ideal situation for America. Do we face the possibility of ethnic weapons without nuclears? This is the situation that America is trying to maintain, and the Jews can go outside, meaning America's will, and do something like this. But I mean, of course, I do not expect this to be what made Trump, who is now saying, guys, draw the weapon. You are the one who sat for 4 years in the 2000 presidency. Why didn't you strike? And ha ha ha. And you already withdrew from the Iran nuclear treaty. I mean, during your term in 2018, he took over from 2016 to 2020. In 2018, he withdrew and said, I am not a call for the treaty, and all right, you just withdrew, strike the nuclear project and do not strike. It is not governed by American policy in the American administration, which is the thought that preserves Iran's existence without achieving it. I mean, why the full suit? But you prefer a feared state in the middle. And at the end, I also return and say that the Jews may have their own calculations and go outside all this issue, and strike Iran remains. The last thing we conclude the episode with is that those who are present in the region and the Sunnah, God willing, in the world, there are very, very many people, and in the Middle East region and around Iran, and they do not see their situation because the region is surrounded by enemies. Everyone is trying to strengthen themselves in the way I see it. Iran is working on a nuclear project and is close to producing nuclear weapons. The Jews already have nuclear weapons. The power that exists means fearful forces requiring very, very strong preparation and arrangement from Muslims. We ask God Almighty to return Muslims to their religion, a good return, and to inspire. Muslims are guided so that they are ready for such dangers that they face from every direction and every direction. God's blessings are good. May God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you.